Hi, I'm Joanna with Blissful Baby Sleep Coaching, and I'm here with Mary, whose daughter is 6.5 years of age. And Mary contacted me because her beautiful daughter was not sleeping. So, Mary, tell me what that was like. What was going on in your household?
So basically Henley was very neurotic, or my daughter was very neurotic and was asking me, she never wanted to go to bed. She resisted bedtime. She made me check on her every 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes until she was finally asleep. And she woke up multiple times a night, of course, calling for me. And my husband was unable to assist her, not because he was unwilling, but because she refused to have him assist in any part of the sleep process because she kind of felt like she couldn't go to sleep unless I was laying down next to her. So I was getting up 5 to 6 times a night, moving myself, laying down next to her, and then until she fell asleep, and then I would leave, and kind of the vicious cycle just continued to repeat itself.
Right. And so you had not only was bedtime hard because bedtime was all about like needing you and wanting you, and it had to be mommy, and it took forever. So there was a lot of lost time and a lot of power struggle at bedtime itself. And then when you finally managed to get her to sleep, then it was like 5 to 6 wake ups per night that required you physically to be with her in her own room, and that
Right.
totally cut out of the picture because she was so mommy, mommy, mommy.
Right. Yes.
Totally brutal. And then what made you decide, like, how did you know or what made you, what gave you the inspiration to ask for help?
Well, so I mean, it just got so bad, and we would wake up and didn't know what to do with her. And of course, the more times I woke up, the more tired I got, the more frustrated I got. And so then I would attempt to send my husband in, and that never went very well. And so then we would be fighting in the middle of the night, and I, said, "You did that wrong." And he was like, "Well, I don't know what you want me to do because she won't allow me to stay." And so finally, I had heard of sleep coaching, but I don't know that I had actually ever known anyone who had used somebody. And I thought, well, I don't need a sleep coach. I taught my kids to sleep through the night when they were like 6 weeks old,
Mhm.
and they did so for several years. And but anyways, I thought, well, whatever. I've got nothing to lose because it can't get any worse than it is right now. And so we reached out to Joanna.
Yeah, and I think that that's really important what you just said, Mary, which is that yes, you can have had a beautiful sleeper, right? So Mary's situation was she had a beautiful sleeper for many, many years. And then she didn't have a good sleeper anymore. And it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And so that's important for you guys to remember, right? You're like not always forever protected.
Yeah.
And knowing that if things go sideways, whether you have a bad sleeper from the start and you need to solve it, or you had a good sleeper and there's a regression that has gotten so embedded, there's always help available. So yeah, you had found out, you reached out through some Facebook groups, right? Isn't that?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got on just a local information trading group, and then I think I searched sleep coach, and then I found Joanna, and then I think it was like at 11 o'clock at night, and I was so annoyed, and I probably emailed you like 15 times because I couldn't tell if I was actually hitting submit or not.
I know exactly. Okay. And so then obviously Mary's like, let's do it. Let's work together because really I'm out of zero options here. I've tried everything and nothing's worked. So please help us. And so what was the process like in working with me, like through this kind of sleep transformation where you and your husband were involved in the process, and we worked together for about a full month, um,
Right.
or more like 5 weeks. What was that like for you? And how did your daughter feel about it as well? Because she's 6.5.
Well, so we got to work immediately, thank goodness. And so we had, several calls at the very beginning, kind of getting ready for what would ultimately be kind of the sleep training. I didn't think my daughter was going to be super resistant to at least the first change, which was just me on the floor. She was extremely resistant, and kicking, screaming, crying, trying to open the door, turn on the lights, all of those types of things. But at the end of the day, I had signed up for the program, and I was going to do everything that we possibly could, and I was skeptical of whether or not it was actually going to work. And some of the things I was like, well, that's never going to work for my daughter, or this isn't going to work. The time, or not time checks, but sleep checks. I was like, well, that's just going to make her even more neurotic. But anyway, we signed up for the deal. And we, bought into it 100% and just said, okay, well, this is going to suck for a month. But hopefully after that, we'll have a good sleeper. And lo and behold, we do.
Right, exactly. And what I want to say about that, you guys, is that most people do come to this process extremely skeptical. And the reason why is because, first of all, it's kind of like, okay, wait a second. Like, how can you know what to do with my child when I've tried everything and I know my child best, right? And then
Right.
also, like, what is this sleep coaching thing anyway? Like, I don't really understand how getting guidance on this can be a benefit. But I've been doing this for 10 years and I worked with lots of older children. Like, it is amazing that if we do it in a very methodical way, at the right pace, using the right methodology, integrating the child into the plan, which her daughter was totally knew what was going on, when, how, why. She
Mhm.
asked questions. She was part of the process, and now she's beaming. We just had a call with her where I got to congratulate her, where she earned an American Girl doll as the final prize for 30 days sleeping beautifully. So there is a way to integrate the child to really make the child feel like it's not about like something's being done to them. It's more of this kind of like, as a family, we're valuing sleep, and these are all the things that we're doing to help you become a really, really good sleeper. And then it becomes a lot more supportive, instead of dramatic. um, okay, so now what does it look like? Okay, so now she's sleeping through the night, everything's good, she's earned her American Girl doll, she's feeling like $1,000,000. We've had post training an additional 30 days of like major awesome sleep. What does that look like now for you? Like, what time is she going to bed? When is she waking up? What's her attitude like? How's dad being introduced into the process, etc.?
Okay, so right now we typically go upstairs around 7:30, get ready for bed, kind of do the whole routine that we've created through this program. And then she's generally asleep by 8 o'clock. I say goodnight. It's no more questions at that point. And then generally she's asleep by 8:10 or so, and then sleeps until at least 6, which is when her light turns green and she can get up. During the school week, she'll sleep till about 6:30, but she's not calling for me. I have the opportunity to like have a discussion with my husband. My other daughter is much happier because I can read with her, which I wasn't able to do when we were kind of doing the program since I was largely in charge. My husband can put her to sleep. I mean, she still has a strong preference for me to do so if I'm around, but she's not, acting out. I think her self-confidence has gone much better because she, during the process, I mean, everyone was so frustrated. It's the middle of the night. She's screaming. I'm screaming. My husband's screaming. And then we're waking Ellie up, or
And
my other.
this was prior to sleep coaching, you guys. So don't
Right. Yeah.
prior to listening to this. Okay.
And so now,
Sleep coach. So there's not a lot of crying and screaming and drama, right? Like, it was very,
no.
that happened during the training. It was very peaceful and just making progress every single night.
Right. But yeah, before the sleep coaching, everyone was very upset, and agitated with her. And then now, I mean, we close the doors, we go downstairs, sit around, my husband and I talk. It's just, I have the opportunity to watch a TV show if that's what I choose to do. I can kind of like think about the day and what I need to do for the next day. So I'm tremendously more well rested than I was before.
Exactly. And I should say, you guys, both parents are working parents of full-time major careers. You guys are back in the office. So you're actually like commuting back to work now, trying to get the kids out the door to school, go do a full day of work, come home, do the whole dinner program. And so now Mary and her husband have captured a peaceful evening, that the house is quiet by 8.
Right.
And they can have an evening for themselves or with each other, take care of their personal business, take care of their other, household or professional obligations, and then go to bed on time so they can wake up and do it all over again, instead of being like a hostage in the room with the child until 10 o'clock at night, which is the way,
Yeah.
it was like you never had an evening, period. So this is awesome. So total success. I call it a family sleep transformation. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. It was great.
So what would you say, what advice would you give to a mom that had an older child that was like, I don't know, like, what would you want her to know? Or what would you say to her if you could say something?
So I would say just, do the program and follow it. I know some of the things sound like they're not going to work because, your kid is 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever. But I think if you involve them in the program and just listen to what Joanna tells you, then it'll actually work.
Awesome. Thank you, Mary. Well, I'm so glad, and it was such a pleasure. And we got another good, beautiful, blissful sleep in this household. So,
Right. No, well, thank you so much. We can't thank you enough, literally.
no, awesome. Thank you, Mary.
All right. Thanks.